Coach Teresa Ford here, and this is the Guiding You Home podcast. This is a thought-provoking and often humorous approach to moving you closer to the only one who can genuinely help you live a life of abundance and prosperity. Sound good? Yeah, it's you that needs to go within so you can sit in the driver's seat of your life, co-creating with God. So make room for more light and knowledge. As you continue to listen, you will discover elements of how to lead with your inner light, how to act on your specific promptings, and how to follow your spiritual intuition so you can fulfill the measure of your creation. Thanks for being here, and let's dive in. Hello. Thank you for listening. I thought I would introduce myself just for a quick second. My name is Teresa Ford. I grew up in Northwest Washington, just an hour north of Seattle, and I was born into a family where it was a yours, mine, and ours. I grew up with two brothers in the home with me. I was the middle child. That explains a lot. And I had two siblings on my mom's side from a previous marriage that I was familiar with, and two siblings that I have yet to meet on my father's side from a previous marriage. So there was a lot going on there, and my mom and dad were emotionally immature. And that is not to put blame on anybody for any reason. It is just a fact. They were both raised in environments that did not help them grow up. So there were a bunch of kids in the house, basically. And it was a challenge to figure out who I was and what I wanted in life because I had no emotional support. And even though they did the best they could with what they had to work with, and they always provided a roof over our heads and as much of the gift giving as they could afford, but it didn't make up for emotional neglect. So fast forward, the only career I ever wanted was to be a mother. And so that is exactly what I did. I found a husband. We had 5 amazing children together. We had 5 kids in 10 years. It was a busy household. And I found my stride being a mom right about the 4th child. When we had 4 girls and a boy. So the first 4 were the girls, and the youngest girl was sort of the mile marker for me when I discovered I didn't want to be my mother. We've all said that, right? It's like, I'm not going to be like my mother. And you're lucky if you did want to be like your mother. So I decided that at that point in my life, with 4 kids in, that I had better find another way other than yelling and being frustrated with my children for being children. And that led me to find out who I was in God's eyes. That was the beginning of the journey. And a couple years later, found ourselves in a situation where it was 2008 and the economy had crashed, and my husband lost his job and he couldn't seem to get another job, and we went 2 years living off our savings. And this is where God was like, guess what? This is going to be the best thing that's ever happened to you. And I left the house kicking and screaming, mad at God for pushing me out of the nest because, again, I wasn't looking to get a career. I had a career. My career was in the home, and I wanted to have the greatest influence on my children, and I was homeschooling them at the time. And it just wasn't going as planned. So I was mad at God, and I left the house kicking and screaming, and He showed me everything that I had in me that I didn't even dream was there, because I was a backwards introvert, if that makes any sense. So as an introvert, I was staying at home, and I was going to church, and I was going to the grocery store, and that was the extent of my life. And it just revolved around my children. Everywhere that they went, in school or homeschooled, either way, that's where I was. And so leaving the home and having to go out and get a job, it wasn't a career, it was just a job, and discover I had gifts and talents for working with people and sharing my limitless possibilities for all things possible. That is something about myself that I knew from a very young age, is I had this magnetic enthusiasm. And so I wrote a mission statement for myself, and it reads, I am pure positive energy, born to share my optimism for limitless possibilities and lay hold upon every good thing. Because I have always known something good was coming. Something good was coming. Even, I grew up in Northwest Washington, where it rained all the time. So it was amazing that I always thought something good was coming, because it looked very gloomy outside all the time. And I am a very sunny weather person. So something good was coming during the hardest times of my life. It was always something good was on its way. Even though I was kicking and screaming, even though I was mad at God, even though I had some pretty tough conversations with him about what it is that he expected of me and how I was supposed to fulfill it. But what he's shown me over the years is that every time I find myself flat on my back looking up going, what just happened? It's been the very best thing that could have ever happened to me at that time in my life. And there's been a lot of them. There has been a lot of those times. So I started this podcast. It was originally called Know Your Worth, because I thought, yeah, that's one of the lessons that I have learned over the years, is that I am worth something to God. I am valuable to him. But I didn't always know that. In fact, I had very low self-esteem. I looked to everyone to help me figure out who I was and how to be likable, how to be lovable, how to work hard and effort hard and try hard to receive love. So that's everything what not to do. And I was very, very good at doing what not to do until I could figure out what to do. And I do a lot of that inner guidance work with you in this podcast. But that's how I started the podcast, was Know Your Worth, because you have to go within or you go without. And since then, my career has led me through fitness for 16 years. I was a hormonal fat loss expert. And then I realized that my true calling was getting into the heads of my clients, not necessarily into a workout, because I didn't need to reinvent the wheel. There's so many workouts out there that is the one that you will do that is the right one for you. And I wanted to work with people to help them overcome limiting beliefs that were usually set in stone as a child through childhood conditioning from emotionally immature parents, or from just a foundation of codependency in the family thought process. So that's how I got to be an accidentalpreneur. Here I am, putting myself in the hot seat, sharing with you every life lesson that I have learned, everything that has cracked me open to help me believe that there's something more coming down the pipeline. Like this, every dip in the valley before you climb the hill again and get to the top where you get a 10,000 foot view is the best place to be, because you're going to learn the most. It's when you get into the inner workings of your guidance system that helps you realize that you have everything in you right here, right now, to develop the gifts, the talents, the skills, and the growth that you need so you can get up out of the valley and back up onto the top of the mountain. So that's what I invite you to do as you listen along. When I tell stories, I'm not necessarily telling stories to hear myself laugh about them all over again, because I do find humor in a lot of the things that I've been through. But I want you to hear the principles. So it's not always what I have to say that is what's going to be important to you. It's what you hear and what you're ready to hear that's going to make the biggest difference for you, and that you'll be able to discern for yourself through the things that your gut says yes to, for the things that light your mind up and make you go, wow, I had never thought about it that way before. That's why I do this podcast, because I want you to figure out what works for you. I want you to go check with yourself. Is that a yes or is it a no for me? So I never tell you a story because I think you should do what I've done. But as an initiator, not a leader, I am showing you that I've done it and you can do it too, but you'll do it your way. You'll do it with your inner guidance system, with your intuition, with your relationship with God, and you will figure out what the problem is and how to solve it. Because in this podcast, we're going to be solution finders. We are not going to be problem solvers, because looking at the problem has never fixed it. But finding a solution to it moves you forward quickly. And that's what I prefer, obviously, because picking at the scabs doesn't feel good. So we should do something that feels better, right? Which is moving forward quickly, gaining momentum into the future so that you can be a co-creator on this journey, because we only have one life, right? And the only reason we're here is to enjoy the growth. And so if our life sucks, then it's not working. So learning how to enjoy the growth is moving forward quickly, going downstream, going with the flow, finding solutions, and letting go of the past. That's a big one, really big. So we'll talk about ways to do that and different mindset shifts that are going to be important for you to figure out who you are and what you want moving forward. I want you to know that you are co-creating. You are a co-creator, and your creative expression in this world is the most important thing you can do. Your growth is an absolute need of the spirit, but your contribution is the highest need of your spirit. So as you contemplate the things that matter most to you and where you want to go with your life, I invite you to ask questions along the way. I am so open to talking with you. And that's not a trick to get you to talk to me so I can sell you on something else. It's literally, I want to help. That's what I'm here for the greater good. And anything that serves your higher good, I'm all about it, because your happiness is my favorite thing. So you can always email me at Teresa, Teresa Ford coaching @gmail.com. And then we will dive in together and I will help you. And even the questions you ask me, we can even do it in a podcast. So if you prefer to just keep it private, I'm all about that. And if you are okay with me taking it live on not live, but on an episode and answering your question there, I would love to do that, because I'm here to serve you however I can do that best. So from this point forward, I hope we're friends. I hope you're listening. I hope it's something that you love. And if you have suggestions for me, I'm open to those too. So here we go, onward and upward. And it's time to get busy living. Thanks for listening. I invite you to leave your feedback and share your aha moments as you listen to this podcast. Also, you can access more information or any of the programs, courses, or worksheets that I've mentioned on these episodes on my website at teresaford.life. Or what I would really love is for you to connect with me on Instagram at teresaford.coaching and on Facebook at Coaching with Teresa Ford, so I can give you more interesting insights and further coaching to help you fulfill the measure of your creation.